Chapter 47. All in all, those first several weeks I spent with Keith were among, no, scratch that, they absolutely were the very finest, most excellent several weeks I'd ever in my life spent. I was, for a short time, as close as I'd ever come to having, quite literally, everything I had literally ever really wanted, to obtaining, owning, grasping in my trembling arms my very heart's desire. I felt that, even if I didn't exactly hold success firmly by its long and slippery tail, if it was not quite within the grasp of my overstretching fingertips, then certainly the appearance of Marcia Goldham had brought me close enough to see the bloodshot whites of its beady little eyes. Life-wise, love-wise, love-life-wise, I was officially in seventh heaven. Seventh and a half. I found myself in the almost unimaginably enviable position of not only having fallen in love so hard that the bruise on my tailbone had yet to fully heal, but of having the man of my dreams fall seemingly as hard for me as I had for him. Keith Keller had sauntered, quite by chance, into my life and answered the musical question, "Lover man, oh, where can you be?" With the musical answer, "Turn around, look at me." And in so doing, he had made yours truly the most deliriously happy single male secretary in the whole of Los Angeles and vicinity. The whole thing seemed to be working out so well, at first. I felt I had the three most important aspects of my life, job, career, and home, not necessarily in order of importance, well in hand, and I juggled them like an expert, with seeming effortlessness, with a confident smile on my face, very seldom dropping a ball, and when one did hit the stage floor, I retrieved it gracefully and worked it back into the air with style and flair. Which is not to say that my act was as easy as it looked. Juggling never is. Still, for those first few magic weeks, at least, it seemed I would seem to be pulling it off. I was going for it all. Marriage, career, the works. And by golly, it looked as if I might jolly well have it all. The boys and I were working harder than ever. What with weekends at Tom Sawyer's and Wednesday nights at the Blue Dahlia, keeping ever on the lookout for Marcia Goldman's phantom friend with connections at the Griffin show. Not that I exactly had my heart set on doing the show. My knee-jerk skepticism kept me from completely swallowing anything Marcia or anyone like her had to say. Still, I thought it would be nice. Marcia's dangling of a national television appearance before my face like a solid gold carrot had the undesirable effect of making me feel my career as it stood was standing in a deep rut. Sawyer's had, by this time, become as routine as a 27-year-old marriage. Not unpleasant, mind you, hardly that. It's just that there were no surprises left. The same loyal, altogether predictable bunch of neurotics showed up every Friday and Saturday night like clockwork. Keith would come one night a week, usually Saturday, sit at the back corner table and lend his own inimitable brand of moral support, and I went through my paces, more or less by rote, depending on my mood, the kind of day I'd have to endure at work, the phase of the moon, that sort of thing. The act had for some time been taking on the earmark of a small cult event, like Rocky Horror, I Love Lucy reruns. Attempts to add new material were as often as not met with cool audience response and vocal requests for old favorites. The act became static, and I became bored. Oh, sometimes that feeling of family could be warm and comfortable as your old long-haired Persian cat, like the night a killer head cold rendered my throat as pink and raw as a veal cutlet in the butcher window. By the end of the last set, my voice was down to a ragged whisper. Like mine. I was closing with golden slumbers, and when I opened my mouth to sing, only a toneless rasp emerged. "Why don't y'all sing this one tonight?" I said, and they did. And it was, to borrow a somewhat hackneyed expression, heartwarming. Mostly, though, Tom Sawyer's was looking more and more like a dead end every minute, and the fact that we were taking home more money for one night at the Dahlia than for two at Sawyer's didn't make it look any better. Which is not to say that working the Blue Dahlia was a picnic in the country. Oh no. The Dahlia, for its part, had only its financial aspect to recommend it. There's nothing more frustrating, I decided during one particularly uninspired set at the Dahlia, than trying to entertain a room full of people who were trying to score. Besides which, Marcia Goldman, very much in attendance those first several nights at the Dahlia, informed us after our second night there of Porcelli's request that we include more top 40 material. We reluctantly, painfully, as if at gunpoint, added "What a Fool Believes" and "Cringe I Will Survive. Bocelli asked for it by name to the repertoire. I feared I was in danger of becoming the lead vocalist for a genuine top 40 band, a fate I considered comparable to being locked into the stocks in the village square to be looked upon with scorn and pelted with offal by passers-by. Faced with audiences who considered me living muzak, and a club owner who should have hired a DJ and a stack of 45s, I quickly grew to abhor the Blue Dahlia with a passion I generally reserved for the liver and onions dinner at Tippy's. I hated it. Snooky hated it. The band hated it. And let me know they hated it at every possible opportunity. Only two considerations kept Johnny Ray and the boys working at the Blue Dahlia. Money. Bobo and Hicks took to singing the OJ's Money, 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 Money chorus upon entering the club, and Marcia's oft-repeated belief that the Blue Dahlia constituted a major career move for me. "Johnny," she'd say, in that fingernails on a blackboard voice of hers, "who's going to see you in a dive like Sawyer's? Nobody, that's who." She had a point. I would never bring my friend from the show there. You can be seen here. On the subject of the show, Marcia, I'd begin. "I'm working on it," she'd say. "She's working on it," the boys would chime in, a Greek chorus in blue jeans. One Friday night, 2, maybe 3 weeks after I moved in with Keith, I breezed into Sawyer's as usual to find Louis was gone. He quit, Anna Marie told me, absently picking at her rapidly chipping black nail polish. Just up and quit. Hadn't paid Louis much attention since falling for Keith. Hatton, of course, slept with the boy since the first night. We'd shared a very sweet moment, he and I, a moment I'd scarcely given a moment's thought, and now he was gone. And I found I missed him more than I ever would have guessed. I didn't even know his last name. Nope, that's it.